Shalom party people, and welcome to the 12th C. Human factors, lack of awareness. So when we're dealing with lack of awareness, we can have a few different things that come up. Number one can be tunnel vision. If you have been through any kind of high stress situation where all of a sudden that heart rate is increasing a solid 50 to 60 beats per minute more than what it already was, and it's holding for a long period of time, maybe you have some physical exertion on top of that, so now you're not just a 50 to 60 beat per minute increase, you're talking closer to about 100 beat per minute increase. That vision is starting to go. And so now, instead of being able to see way this wide, now you can only see way this wide. And that ain't gonna cut it sometimes. You could have poor communication. If you've got poor communication, then your people are not gonna have a whole bunch of awareness of what's going on. You could have poor organization skills, either as an individual or as a group. Those types of things all play into individuals, teams, people in general having poor lack of awareness. Having just a poor awareness for what's going on in their area. On tunnel vision, I have talked ad nauseum about going through refuge medical training, Responder 3. I think that was some of the best training I could ever receive on truly combating tunnel vision. Two main things that the instructors are looking for when they're having people go through that training is either people who are not wanting to react or people who are suffering from tunnel vision. If you have someone who is fearful of reacting because they don't want to be wrong in what they're doing, there is one set of scenarios that they will run that person through that really highlight the dangers that fall in that. If you have someone who default has tunnel vision, there's another set of scenarios that they run that individual through. In that case, I was somebody who went through all the tunnel vision scenarios, and they really, really showed me how bad my tunnel vision truly could get and how much information I was losing. What's crazy is most people will have auditory exclusion when they're dealing with tunnel vision, which is baffling. You can have loud noises going off right beside you and you didn't even know those noises happen. It happens all the time when you have a shooting. People just don't realize how many shots went off. You can have the same incident and one police report will say 15 shots went off and another police report says that 2 shots went off. Huge, huge difference. But you've got that auditory exclusion going on. Maybe people are remembering stuff that didn't happen, and maybe people just tuned out everything that was going on. But that tunnel vision, that auditory exclusion played in, and now, all right, well, who's right? Is the answer somewhere in the middle, or was it 37 shots? We don't know. But Paul Harrell brings that up a lot when he talks about that FBI Miami shooting, and I thought that was of note. So, without giving away anything from refuge training in Responder 3, there is one scenario that everybody goes through, and people have lost something that's very important, and there's an opportunity where you might find that thing. Well, it's there. What you lost is there, but nobody will see it. I didn't see it when I was responding. I saw it when I was a crisis actor. And there was a part of me that was trying to kind of cheat and help the person who was helping me be like, due to the confusion of the whole situation. They didn't see what was going on. And I was kicking myself because I'm like, how could I have not seen that? That was so important. How could I have not seen what I needed to see just a minute ago? And now that my heart rate was lower, now that I was breathing better, I actually saw what we were missing. And I was just hoping that somebody was going to pick up on some subtle cues. Hey, turn around, dude. It's going to be okay. No, man. I didn't even whisper it like that. It was more of just me trying to, hey, over there. Either way, that heart rate goes up, high stress situation. People aren't going to see everything. They're not going to hear everything. When I worked inside of the Department of Corrections and I was responding to either staff members in distress or even just a plain Jane fight, every so often a stabbing, things like that, that heart rate would instantly go up, run where I needed to run to, make radio calls, lay hands on somebody, wrap somebody up into a pretzel and take them where they didn't want to go. Those kind of things happen. I had whole situations where somebody was writing a report about what happened, and I was like, that person wasn't there. It's like, yeah, they were. Like, no, I'm serious. That person wasn't there. So I go and pull cameras. What do you know? That person was literally right beside me the whole time. It happens. How do you combat tunnel vision? Tactical pause. Take a deep breath. Put your head on a swivel. Not just putting your head on a swivel, but also physically moving your eyeballs inside of your head, left, right, up, down, left, right, up, down. While you are putting that head on the swivel, you will be amazed at how much that opens up your tunnel vision. Pair that with deep, slow breaths, ideally box breathing, and now your tunnel vision is not gone, but it is substantially more manageable than what it was. You can bring in more information. You can process more. That tactical pause now becomes your friend because you're bringing things in. Also coming down to that whole stop, look, listen, smell thing, that's SILS. Bring in that information. Which leads us to poor communication. Why do you think safety vests are bright highlighter yellow with reflective stripes in there? You have people who are on job sites that cannot communicate with each other. And this gives them that 1% chance that the person who's not where they're supposed to be is seen now. Okay, yeah, let's not run over him with the power equipment. Hey, before we start this equipment that's spinning and has a whole lot of things that people can get caught on, hey, that guy's arm is in the danger zone. Maybe we should shout at him and say, hey, move, get out the way. Poor communication skills also lead into the whole factor of, I didn't know that was a big deal. I didn't know that this was placed over there. I didn't know where to look. It builds into a lack of awareness. Somebody knowing, hey, when you go out there to start that vehicle up, the starter is kind of finicky. You're going to want to have a foot on the brake, but you're also going to want to have just a feather on the throttle, so that way you can mix that fuel air mixture in as quick as you possibly can, have less drags on that starter. Maybe you should have a set of jumper cables when you're out there too. If somebody knows, hey, when I was using this vehicle and you're getting ready to use it, be aware that starter's a little finicky. It's why in so many professions they actually do vehicle logs. write down, hey, what mechanically is going on, even if you don't know the full extent of it. This problem, this day. A lot of companies, if you're using a vehicle, you're logging your fuel. Hey, went from, point A to point B in 250 miles, gassed up once, here's where you're at. And then someone's going back through and auditing the vehicle, and they realize, hey, this vehicle, you're supposed to get 26 miles to the gallon, and you got 7. What's wrong? Did you either go further than you documented, or is there a mechanical issue with this? If people aren't logging that kind of information, how are we supposed to know? It brings additional awareness just by documenting things, which is part of communication, is documentation. It also comes into poor organization. If we do not know where things are, if we do not have a routine in getting things done, it makes it a lot more difficult to spot problems. That whole, a place for everything and everything in its place, you know instantly when something is out of place. The idea of, hey, we're gonna do these things in this order. Oh, hey, something happened on step 4, and that's not what was supposed to happen. Okay, now we know, because of this checklist, because of XYZ, there might be a problem that we need to look into. Let's document it. If we can move on, let's move on. If not, let's try and address this now. Whenever we're dealing with lack of awareness, we have a couple of things. Either I didn't know, or I was too lazy to bring in that information. If it's the legitimate I didn't know, that can span from poor communication. It can also span from somebody not knowing what they need to look for. If you're in a company vehicle and there's 15 different company vehicles, well, which one's the one that's got the biggest problem? Hopefully that one's having maintenance done to it, hopefully. If not, man, all the company vehicles are the same color and they're the same year, make, and model, and it sure makes it a little difficult to know which one was having the starter issues. Yeah, as soon as you turn that key on the one that does have it, you'll know. But what happens if it's a temperamental problem and it wasn't acting up for me, but now it's acting up for you, and then I get back in it again and it's not acting up anymore? If the person who found the issue didn't let everybody know, then there's a lack of knowledge that has become a lack of awareness because people aren't looking for it now. Or you're getting into a situation of, I was in my own little world, I had the radio cranked up all the way, didn't even think about the fact that the starter was doing what the starter was doing. Wasn't paying attention. Combating this. Number 1, ask questions. Number 2, document everything, even the stuff that you don't think matters. And number 3, slow down. If there is information in front of you, bring it in. That whole stop, look, listen, smell plays into it. If there is something in writing in front of you, read it. Especially if it is even remotely relevant to what you're doing. Some of these company vehicles having logs might not be a bad idea to flip through it. If you have instructions for a task, I don't care if you've done it 15 times. Pop open those instructions and just thumb through it. You never know. You might find either something that has changed as a procedure, or something that you've missed. Hey, that wasn't there. Yeah, it was. Just weren't paying attention. You weren't aware of the problem. Always be willing to be humble enough to admit, hey, I've been doing this wrong, and now let's fix it. Keep your head on a swivel. If you're always looking for more information, especially more relevant information, it's going to help your awareness. After action reports. This is what went right, this is what went wrong, and this is how we can fix it so this doesn't happen again. Whenever we're dealing with something, if we're able to identify issues, if we're able to document issues, and if we're able to show others what is going on, that lack of awareness really starts to go away. I would love to hear some comments from you guys. Give me a story of a time that having lack of awareness bit you in the butt. Go do hard things.